Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty player. Can continue to survive these things. Here you see Sophie Cunningham laid out on the floor, holding her knee. The lady was in tears, crying as Lexi Hull approached her to help her.
Immediately, first, look at this. Instantly into the game. Instantly. Immediately. They had a target to hurt Sophie. She was targeted by this team.
The entire WNBA is trembling after Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham made a startling statement. Sophie fell, sustained a severe knee injury following her collision with Bria Hartley, and her family is incensed.
Watch out for Bria Hartley because she's a dirty-ass player.
Sophie is currently experiencing the same nightmare that kept Clark out of the spotlight, and fans can't stand it.
This is Hartley right here coming in.
To slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls
and she
crushes
in on the knee of Sophie right here.
She went down.
Just sums up everything. Like, we weren't going to win this game if Sophie Cunningham was healthy. This isn't like, oh, we lost because of a Sophie Cunningham injury. We were down 17 points when she got injured. This happens.
The current season for the Indiana Fever is truly a horror film. Put popcorn away. Just watching their sports requires therapeutic sessions. People are declaring the season to be over. To be honest, that is being courteous. It seems like this team comes up with a new way to make themselves seem bad every single week. And while the house burns down, the WNBA just watches from a distance like a nanny browsing Instagram.
Gonna look like Stephanie White is extremely emotional after this hard-fought game. Sophie Cunningham family is extremely pissed off.
And because Sophie Cunningham's knee was just ruined in the open, we've reached the lowest of all lows. And the whole affair feels less like basketball and more like a demolition derby. This wasn't simply another minor bruising or ankle ailment. Sophie was sobbing on the ground and clutching her leg after Bria Hartley struck her knee, as if she were attempting to sack a quarterback.
It's just emotional, guys. I'm hella mad. Hartley needs to be suspended on a major level completely. Probably at this point, she's more dirtier than DJ Carrington.
The finest part comes next. The Fever were already down 17 points when it happened. 17, they were already being treated as a junior varsity team. After that, their toughest player, the one who is truly displaying some backbone, is eliminated. I'm not sure what other way to describe the season than that.
They wanted to hurt Sophie. They made it their business to hurt Sophie, and that's exactly what they did, was hurt Sophie, and I'm hella mad.
Even Sophie's relatives went online and set the league on fire since the scene was so awful. Social media was inundated with fans criticizing the WNBA for permitting this circus to operate without regulations. You received inquiries such as, how is it possible that in a professional league, star players are dropping like flies every week, and the officials still act like they're officiating a pickup game at the YMCA? Lindsay, Sophie's sister, bluntly advised the league to start on safeguarding the athletes rather than focusing about locating players for remarks.
Sophie's sister Lindsay and her mom Paula. At WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athletes.
Paula, her mother, also added her voice, denouncing Hartley as a troubled player everywhere she goes. When the family becomes so outspoken, it's obvious that they've reached their breaking point. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been out of action for 13 games in a row, adding to chaos. People are genuinely inquiring as to whether she needs to make the effort to return this year. And to be honest, why would she, given the catastrophe show the Fever is wearing?
And Sophie's mother, Paula. Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean and plays out of control.
However, because Sophie's injury was the catalyst for this fire, let's focus on it. The play didn't have any humor at all, but it did appear like it was taken directly from a blooper reel. Sophie grasped her patella or kneecap as soon as Hartley's car drove in and struck her leg.
It's a patella injury. Normally people will hold higher in their knee if it's a knee ligament injury. It looks like she might have either broke or either ruptured her patella.
Every fan who was watching experienced a sinking sense at that very time. It had the smell of a patella fracture or rupture, but it didn't shout ACL. And, as every sports fan knows, that's essentially a one-way ticket to see you the following season. There is virtually little possibility that she will return this year, according to analysts. Nothing. Consider that. Your mid-season engine, your greatest source of energy, was destroyed in a matter of seconds.
Sophie did not deserve any of that happened to her today, and it is very, very unfortunate, man.
With the icing on top, this wasn't Sophie's first rodeo with injuries this season. Not at all. This year, she has sustained 2 serious injuries. And you know what? They both opposed the Connecticut Sun. Both. That eventually ceases to be a coincidence and begins to resemble a pattern, doesn't it? You get the impression that the basketball gods are simply pointing at the Fever and declaring, you're cursed. Sophie had been the best mid-season addition of the Fever, so the family's wrath makes perfect reason.
Sophie Cunningham out for the year. How can this team continue to survive? We bring in Ari McDonald because of injuries, and who would have thought? Caitlin Clark would be out most of the year. Sophie Cunningham will have a season-ending injury.
She was more than just a regular player. She stood up for defense. She was intense. When no one else on the roster would even attempt to defend Caitlin Clark, it was she who was promoting her. That's all gone now. This is where things truly start to go wrong. Let's talk about Bria Hartley, the WNBA's very own villain of the year. If you believed Sophie's injury was merely an unfortunate accident. I mean, Hartley's card would have a caution mark on it if the league had trading cards.
I told you guys this girl was a dirty player, and that's all she did today was show how dirty she is. This is unfortunate. I don't know how the Indiana Fever...
Because of their terrible reputation, fans really foresaw this. It's not an isolated incident. This is a chaotic highlight reel. She grabbed Angel Reese by the ponytail earlier this year, as if it were WWE SmackDown. She grabbed Rebecca Allen by the head and threw her to the ground just a few days before Sophie collapsed. Numerous cheap shots and multiple ejections. She seems to be preparing a CV for the title of dirtiest player alive.